Okay, I have 7 o'clock. Like to call our work session to order. I know everybody would like to order a big glass of ice water, but don't think this should take too long tonight. Maybe we'll get on out of here where it's a little bit cooler. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. I think we're all here with the exception of Mr. Walsh, and he had let me know he had to work late, wouldn't be here tonight. Sends his apologies. Go over our agenda for next Monday night. Have Ms. Ferguson, it's your rotations for the invocation. Have Mr. Taylor down for the pledge. And we'll do roll call, electronic check-in at the proper time. And minutes, we have the minutes of the June 20th and the June 27th commission meetings to look over. Has anybody seen any problems with those, any additions or corrections that need to be made? If you haven't read through them and you find something, please let Amy or myself know so that we can get that corrected before Monday night. Announcements, of course, everybody knows the election is underway and early voting has started. And so far, I think the turnout's been really, really good, and urge everyone to vote early and vote often. We have, on a bit of a sad note, I would like to acknowledge and our sympathies go out to Commissioner Burton, who lost his mother a couple of weeks ago, and just want everybody to spend a little bit of time with him and let him know that he's appreciated, and just we're sorry for your loss, Shane. We sincerely are. I think that's about it with announcements. Mayor, do you have any announcements that we need tonight?
No, sir, and I won't do anything on the county mayor's report given weather conditions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any announcements that we need to jot down to do Monday night? Something comes up, you think of something, send us an email and we'll make sure that we get it on there to do that. Amy, did we have any amendments to the agenda? Oh, okay. Did they have copies? Okay. We have ordinance 253, 2022, 23. You should have received an email on this.
You will tomorrow.
We'll receive an email on this. This is the personnel policies that came out of personnel committee last week. We want to try to get those in. It will require 2 readings. This will be the first reading on it. It is an ordinance. And this is replacing the previous personnel policy. And as a part of that, it also has the wage, what do we call it? I never can remember what we call it. Pay scale with the step raises and all of that as a part of it. We had, we're waiting to try to get these last few pieces put together so that we could do it in its entirety instead of trying to pass it piecemeal and having to come back and amend it. So this has everything that's come through committee to date, and we'll have that on this month. We'll put that, I guess, at the end under ordinances right after our, let's put it on the first readings right after ordinance 252, 2022, 22. We'll add 23. And please be 253, 2022, 23. And it's personnel policy. And we will make sure that you get a copy of that tomorrow. Look for that in your emails. Those of you that do not get emails, please be sure or if you would like a hard copy of it, go by the office and pick that up. Is there anything else needs to be added or changed? Okay, not, we'll proceed on further. Of course, item 8 will be the citizens' response to the agenda items. We'll ask them to sign in. And as is our custom, depending on how many there are on any particular issue, we may limit the amount of time that they can speak. Then we move into the county mayor's report. Mayor Chambers, you want to give us anything tonight or hold it till next week?
I'll hold it to next week in the interest of time.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Committee reports. These are the committees that we have record of that have met or will meet between now and next Monday night. Steering committee met on July 5th. Personnel committee met July 14th. Purchasing met tonight, July 18th. Budget and finance met tonight, July 18th. Parks and Rec and Emergency Services are both scheduled to meet Thursday night, the 21st. Are there any others? Did we miss any? Okay, don't see any, so I guess that's all. Moving into our active business, we have resolution 2022-16-760. This is pertaining to lease agreements for the upcoming year. These are things, I guess, that we have various types of office equipment and things of that nature that are on lease. They are year to year, and we have to approve them going into the next budget year. Amy, are these all carryovers currently? Is anything new on this? Nothing new, exactly what we have right now, just renewing these leases. Any questions on that one? Okay. All right, next is resolution 2022-17-761. This is our donation to nonprofit and charitable organizations appropriations. They are, again, these amounts were included in the budget, and this is just directing those funds out of the budget so they can be paid to these various groups. Any questions on that one? Okay. Next is resolution 2022-18-762. This is some road names that have come to us from the Charles County Emergency Communications Board, better known as the 911 Board. And we have 3 road names this month. The first one is Brandon Lane. This is located south of Hilltop Drive, about 1/10 of a mile south of Roger Street. The new subdivision or the new apartments, townhomes that are in behind Anthony Funeral Home. This is a little spur of a street, as you see here on your map, coming off of it. And they've requested Brandon Lane. Mike Dye's son, Brandon, was killed tragically a while back, and that's why they're wanting to do that, just kind of honor him. The other one is Baker Lane. This is located on the north side of Canoe Branch Road. It's about a little over 1/2 a mile from Highway 231 on the right, just before you go out of the county into Sumner County. It would be, I guess, the last tract of land, last farm. There is a house there now. They will be building another house. There is a possibility that there may be a third one. So we need to go ahead and name that. The Bakers live there. We do not have a Baker Lane, so it seemed logical to name it that at their request. So that's where it is. Any questions on that one? Now, all of these are county named roads. They're not county maintained roads. They're strictly naming them for addressing purposes and for emergency services. The last one is Stonehill Lane. This is the on McMurray Boulevard East. It's just west of Hickory Ridge subdivision, new subdivision that Mr. Harper and Mr. Moreland will be developing. They call it Stonehill subdivision, so they wanted to name it Stonehill Lane. First, we thought there may be some conflict with it because we have a Stone Hollow, but that's 2 words. This is 1 word. This is in 37074, and that one is in 37087, even though it's still in the county. So the board felt like it would not cause any confusion with those 2, simply because it was 2 separate zip codes. So that's Stone Hill Lane. That's the 3 road names. Any questions on those? Did I get that okay? Okay. Right. Next, we have resolution 2022-19-763. This is declaring some certain equipment and surplus things to be able to sell that the Sheriff's Department has sent forward. Evidently, they don't need guns anymore, so they're wanting to sell all of their Glocks. And yeah, he says that's perfectly right. I think these will all be sold on .gov. Is that correct, Sheriff? Is that how these will be disposed of?
Yes, we'll be taking bids on them whenever y'all surplus them. We got new pistols back a couple months ago through the grant, COVID money, and we try to replace them every 10 years. So it's right around 9 years. So we got those replaced, and we're wanting to sell these surplus property.
Okay.
They'll go to a licensed dealer.
Any questions on that for the sheriff? Mr. Clarity?
Who's going to conduct the auction? Is it
We'll take bids on them.
at your office?
Yeah, we'll take bids.
So you are going to sell them, or you're going to sell them online? Like,
Now we'll have somebody else to sell them, but we'll take bids. The different firearms company will give us bids and buy them all in a bulk from us.
I know we can sell them. I know we can surplus them and sell them, but I think they have to either be sold at a public auction, which can include an online auction.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, like,
Yeah.
And typically they can either sell them in a lot, they can sell them in a lot of 3 or 5 or all in one lot. Probably get more for them if you sold them individually or small lots.
Yeah, in the past, we have traded them in to a firearm company for ammunition and other stuff that we can get. And we've done that in the past also.
Okay, I would suggest that you absolutely get with the mayor and Mr. Beller to make sure that what we're doing with them is the way it needs to be.
This way we've always done it in the past. Same
Well,
way.
things change, Sheriff. We may need to, if you would, please get with them and make sure
Yeah,
that,
we sell stuff all the time online, cars, vehicles. We do it all the time.
I know there's no problem with it if you sell them online. I might buy 2 or 3 of them myself. Any questions for the sheriff on that? That good? Okay. Drug task force, how do y'all sell them now? Y'all on Gov Deals?
No, we have an auction, a licensed auction company that sells them for us, and they
Okay.
conduct it online.
Okay, okay. Next is resolution 2022-2764 EMS educational assistance. We have passed previously a program to fund. I think at that time it was strictly AMTs or paramedics, I believe it was. Wanted to expand that a bit and go ahead and take a little of the COVID money and park to be able to provide this assistance for anyone that wants to take advantage of this. Mayor, if you want to go ahead and explain this a little bit more, I probably butchered it already, but
This was something that passed somewhere around 2012 to 14. And it was at that time, it was to do education assistance to anyone that was going to be a paramedic. And then they would have to become a full-time employee in that position. And they would have to work for Trousdale County for 3 years. This proposal is to add EMTs and advanced EMTs to that. And the rest of the language is exactly the same as it was before. Again, they would have to complete 3 full calendar years working for the Trousdale County Emergency Medical Services. And this would cover cost of tuition, books, liability insurance, as long as the student maintains an 80 average for that semester. And they would also be compensated for 8 hours for classroom attendance on an on-duty day. So that's, like I said, that's pretty much the meats and potatoes of it. If they were to leave, it could be, they would have to pay it back at a prorated share, or if, like some other counties, I've been told other counties would buy out somebody out of this and they would pay whatever that prorated share is.
We had discussion on this in budget and finance. It did pass budget and finance. There were some questions about this that we want to try to get answered. And certainly if you have any questions, need to get with the mayor and see if we can get this nailed down between now and next week to everybody's satisfaction. It is currently a program we have. We're expanding it. We're wanting to put some money there to fund it if someone wants to take advantage of it. It's basically what we're doing. Okay. Any questions, any further questions on that? We talked about it pretty extensively last hour. I know everyone wasn't here, but okay. All right. Move into ordinances. First ordinance is 244, 2022 14. We're needing to amend our adopted budget. It has been approved by the comptroller's office, but they did note that it did not have the 143 fund, which we've been told in times past did not need to be a part of it, since it does not have to do with any appropriations from us. It is strictly the federal funds that come in for the school system and go out for various things that are earmarked, such as food, lunches, certain equipment and things. All we'll have to do is just do this amendment. It's at the back. If you look at page 5 of 5 at the very bottom under the signature line, it's a fourth reading on July 25th to include this 143 schools cafeteria fund, federal funds in our budget. It doesn't affect our budget as far as it doesn't change property tax rates or anything like that, because this is funds in, funds out. It just need to be acknowledged there. Comptroller's office approved the budget, basically subject to us doing this amendment. So that's what it is. Any questions on it? Okay. Next is ordinance 250, 2022-20. This is an rezoning ordinance, rezoning tax map 27B Group A, partial 373701 from R2 to R3. This property is located on Stott Avenue and Morrison Street. They're wanting to put the 2 lots together and build a couple of 2 or 3 townhomes on the property. Or they can do that now with R2, but to meet the setbacks, because those lots are a little bit smaller, it gives them a little bit more room to be able to site these homes. So that's what that one is. Any questions on it? You got your maps there. Okay. The next one is Piedmont Gas Franchise Agreement Renewal. We, believe it or not, contract with a natural gas company to provide natural gas to the city, to our gas system. And I think is this an annual or is this 5-year? agreement? Mayor, do you remember?
This was held over from the town of Hartsville at that time. They entered into a 30-year agreement.
Okay,
And that had, after this was done, state law limits it to a maximum of 25 years. And that is to give them time to recoup their expenses for installing infrastructure for gas lines throughout a community.
so this is the existing service we have. It's almost like a renewal. We don't have anybody else to provide this to us, I don't think, or expressed any interest in doing that. Any questions on it? Okay. Next is ordinance 252, 2022, 22. This is replacing some wording on Title 11 of municipal offenses. We went over this pretty extensively in emergency services and law enforcement committee. Mr. Beller, I believe, has been instrumental in looking at this, and you're okay with all of this? And just trying to clean up some of this ordinance, some of this language, some things kind of outdated, some things that need to be added into it. You have it there. If you have questions about it, there again, I would suggest you get with the mayor on it. It's pretty thoroughly talked about and vetted. There were some things that we had at first thought we would take out that the sheriff and Chief Cothran thought needed to stay in it, that we, to make their life a little easier, we decided to leave it in there. So is there any questions on any of that? There again, that will require 2 readings. We'll pass the first one this month and hopefully the second one next month. A lot of these things are things that we've been working on for some time that we're trying to kind of finish up on before a new group comes in and have no understanding of what all has happened to get it to this point. This is one of those things. Any questions on that? Everybody good with that? All right, next one is ordinance will be 253, 2022, 23. This is the ordinance replacing the existing personnel policies. And this has been recommended by the Personnel Committee. And we will also have a second reading and public hearing on it next month in our August meeting as well. If there's any questions on it, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you look at it and read through it, it's quite a bit of reading. But I assure you, what we have 7 meetings going over that. I think several. Yeah, it was more than one. Pretty lengthy meetings trying to wade through the various aspects of that. So we do have it ready to present. Any questions on it? Apologize for we just wanted to have one more look at it in its final form from personnel before we brought it forward. And we just did that. Next ordinances will have a public hearing and a second reading. The first is the zoning amendment 243, 2022-13. This is the zoning amendment on mining activities in the county. This was recommended by Planning Commission back in May. The Codes and Zoning Committee looked at some other wording and delayed it to take it out of the A1 zoning districts and leave it strictly in M2. We had our first reading on it last month. This will be a public hearing and second reading. And looking this over, feel like it will get us where we need to be at this point in time. There may be some things that we would like to clarify and add to it. going forward, possibly, just to make you aware of that. But right now, we'd like to get this on the books. Any questions on it? Okay. Next is ordinance 248, 2022, 18. This is rezoning partial land from C2 to R1. This is, help me with this one. 5-acre tract, Highway 25 West in Hartsville. This, is this the, right, okay, this is, this side of, Jerry Helms' house, the lot between, there, changing that to R1. I think their intentions are to build two homes there. The way it lays, it's kind of equally divided, falls off to the middle with a natural drainage. They feel like they can put a home on each side of this. There is residential property on either side of it, being used for residential and further down the road. So that's what it is, where it is. Mr. Ford.
In front of that be left C2.
Sir? No, sir, not on this one. Yes, sir. That's the intention. Any other questions? Ms. Rosalie, did you want to add to that?
I was just going to speak to that the owner assured the planning commission that they were just going to be building 2 houses, as you stated.
The size of the property could probably qualify for more than that, but the natural lay of the land and the type and size houses they're planning to build, it would be more conducive to just have 2, I think was what they were talking about doing. Thank you. Any questions on it? Ordinance 248, I'm sorry, 249, 2022, 19. This is rezoning A1 to R1. This is kind of a cleanup up at the back end of Thoroughbred, some property up there. I think they at one time they extended Thoroughbred from its original plat design, and don't know whether these lots were left off of it or whatever, but the maps are still showing them as A1. They're being used as residential now, and they are platted out to become possibly residential on these other 2. It's at the very end of Thoroughbred. Right, Mr. Burton, listen to me, Mr. Barton's house, kind of at the end on the cul-de-sac, and they'd be to the right of that. Is that correct, Ms. Rose?
You are correct, sir.
Any questions on that one? I don't see any. I want to get out of here. That takes care of all of our ordinances. Have ARPA spending approval. This is Vol State EMS training tuition, basically taking $30,000 of the ARPA funds and putting it where it can be used for this purpose. This plan, I guess you would say, was voted into existence 2013. Is that correct, Mayor?
It's somewhere around 2013,
Somewhere.
2012, 2013, 2014. somewhere around there.
And we kind of have not had a lot of interest in it. As of late, we've had some interest in it. We're looking at trying to possibly expand it, not to be just paramedics, but also EMTs, and having some money set aside to fund it. There again, this money will only be spent if it's needed to be spent. Some of these people may qualify for scholarships in other ways. But certainly if we offer this and it's needed, they will be able to avail themselves of it. Any questions on that one? Mr. Gully?
Just one more. I know I asked a couple in budget and finance reasons, I said one more there, but as we've talked, you said there might have been two individuals that were currently interested maybe in this piece. Is there a maximum amount within inside this resolution that was originally passed that states how much we would pay? Is it just that stated tuition, or is it we choose to give $5,000 to this individual to go to school, whatever it costs? Okay, that's their extra. I didn't read that in the original piece that was went through steering. I tried to read through that during the break between budget and work session.
The original resolution or program as it's created did not have a maximum that I remember, because it was, as Mr. Buckmaster said at that time, it's really written for one individual. But if there's a set amount of money, that would be within the department head. So the EMS director can't go above that amount of money. So if it turns out to be, if it funds 5, if he wants to go to that amount, it could go up to 5, but he can't go any more than that.
So my question was, we're putting 30,000 in here. If it's two individuals that are going and it costs $2,800 to go to Ball State, I think that's what was mentioned in budget and finance to go through the EMT course. Would we be looking at giving 2,800, or are we giving X amount of dollars to this employee to go to school? It costs this much for them to get in, and they just take the rest and use it for whatever means to transport or books or whatever. All I'm asking for is this allocated just for tuition? Is there that restriction on it, or can it be spent at the director's call?
No, I believe in the resolution, and let me get the exact language for what it says it's going to cover. But it was kind of wide ranging. It was not just tuition. It could also cover any other fees and everything like that, which according to what Vol State has given us was $29.78 or something like that. So it'd cover tuition, fees, books, those kind of things. So it'd cover the full amount.
So it would cover the full amount at the school, but it would not give them any assistance as far as transportation or housing or anything like that.
No, sir, it just provided for education, like the tuition and that kind of stuff. And if they were on duty, if they're already an EMS employee and they were on duty, it would pay them for up to 8 hours of on-duty time while they're going to the classes. But as far as transportation or anything like that, housing, that was not included.
So if it's an already employed individual, we're going to pay them 8 hours a day of employment while they're in school? Did I hear that correctly? Out of this fund?
That is what the original resolution and memorandum of understanding provided. Yes.
Commissioners, any other questions on this one? This is, it's already in effect. We haven't funded it recently, but we are looking to expand it to other employees. It's strictly there for now, I think, as it exists as paramedics. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, as it's currently written, it is only for paramedics.
Okay. So someone that wanted to go to paramedic could avail themselves of this right now, and we would have to find a way to fund it, basically, instead of taking, this is just a use of the ARPA funds to be able to fund this. We have had, this is one of the things that has come to light, I think, in the shortage of personnel in these type departments, and a lot of departments seem to be trying to do something of this nature. I think that may be what's prompted this, but Mr. Ford?
Did I understand that after they completed this, they will stay with the county for 3 years?
Yes, sir. The memorandum of understanding they signed says that they will be a full-time employee of Hartsville-Travis County EMS for 3 years. Now, if they want to leave, and let's say they've worked one of the 3 years, they pay back the remaining 2 years prorated to the county, or what has been told to me is some other EMSs might want to buy them out, so they would buy out the remaining on that. So, but yes, the memorandum of understanding requires them to work for us for 3 years.
That's a hard way to get employees, but it may be a good way.
Mr. Gully?
Two thoughts on that. So I don't disagree with Mr. Ford there with an opportunity to pay for people to go to school and get them to be our employees. when that payback is, it would pay back in full, not just the tuition, the $2,900. So if we paid a person 8 hours a day for 50, whatever it is, one semester of school, 15 weeks, whatever that is, it would also pay back that cost of the county as well. If it was bought out, because we would be paying not only that tuition, but also that individual salary for 8 hours a day for that piece. As well, Mr. Jewell, you mentioned just a second ago, if I heard you correctly, I want to make sure I heard this correctly, that right now it's already in statute in our ordinances, and we would have to pay for it no matter what if somebody wanted to do this. Did I hear you say that correctly? We're forced already.
What I'm saying is that this ordinance already exists in one form. And that one form is for a paramedic training to avail themselves of this training. Now, this expands it, but it's also funding it. It's doing two things in one ordinance. But yes, if we have it on the books to do that, if someone wants to do it now, it would be subject to what the wording or whatever that says. But yes, I think we would need to honor that unless we want to rescind it and not do anything at all, which certainly we can do. Thing with this is it's to be more of an incentive and an enticement, and for someone to stay and under a contractual obligation. What could happen, what might happen, what will happen, I don't know. But, and I know that's the things that we need to work those things out.
I didn't ask what could, what might, what possibly might. I asked straightforward questions. Would we be reimbursed for the 8 hours we pay per day for that employee going to school, or not just the $2,900 that we're talking about here that it costs to get that employee in?
I'm trying to find that exact resolution so I can read you the language. I had it earlier and I don't know if I accidentally closed it out. So I don't want to give you a statement on that without being sure. I do know at least the tuition, the way it was written, if I remember off the top of my head, said whatever the amounts were spent, that they would have to reimburse us on a pro rata amount. And I don't remember it having any language in there that treated the 8 hours versus different than the tuition. But again, that's just going off memory. I'd like to have it in front of me before I answer that.
Mr. Joel.
Mr. Gelli, the language in repayment by the employee, it says for the, should employee drop out of the certification program or fail to finish for any reason, then in that event, shall the employee repay the Trowser County the entire amount expended by Trowser County for the certification of the employee, and shall surrender all textbooks and materials required up to the point in his or her training. Now, if you consider amount labor worked or wages paid for the purposes of certification, I guess that's one argument you could make, but I don't know that I consider that as the hourly rate that we would pay for someone for working as part of that repayment, the way I read that. Does that answer your question?
Anyone else? Anything else, Mr. Gully? Okay. Get familiar with it. Try to get you some wording on it and let you decide what you want to do with it Monday night. We will have some notaries. We always do, but we won't know until Monday night. Is there any other business before the commission? Ms. Jones?
I do have one question. Is there any way we could get like a total number of homes, apartments, townhouses that we have approved the possibility of building this year so far? I mean, it seems like each month there's so many here, there's so many there, there's so many here. But I mean, I was wondering if we could get like a grand total of proposed building sites so that we would know how many may be, coming soon.
Sure. I'm sure you can, get with Rosalie or Sam and they'd be glad to look that up for you. They've got it all in the computer. They can go back to whatever date you want to start it and pull it forward.
I would think just this year would be fine.
Well, I mean, there's quite a few developments that are in the works.
Right.
Now, who knows how fast they're going to develop, but they've been approved to develop. Sometimes some of them that we approved never developed. We got one tract of land over there behind the administration building that we approved to do, townhomes, and now they're wanting to rezone it back to industrial, I guess. And so that one's not going to materialize. I mean, just because you approve them doesn't necessarily mean that they will happen. It just means that they can happen.
I think we still need to have a good idea so we can have a scope
Sure.
of what kind of growth
I'm-
and development we're going to
Sure.
have to plan for.
I'm sure they can get you that information, and that'd be the best way to get it. Okay. I do want to talk before we leave. I know everybody's kind of warm. I want to jump forward to August. If y'all happen to have your calendars where you can look at them. Before we do this, I wanted to kind of run it by everybody and see if there was any problems or objections. What we have is, because the first is the Monday, our meeting won't be the last Monday. It will be the fourth Monday. There's 5 Mondays in that month. The county officials training, the Tennessee County Services Association, the required training for new commissioners will be held on the 22nd and 23rd, that Monday and Tuesday, and our commission meeting would be scheduled for the 22nd. What I would like for us to do is move our commission meeting to the 29th without objection. And then we can move our budget and finance and commission work session to the 22nd. The new people would not necessarily need to be involved in that, was why we're wanting to do that. Then we were wanting to take the 15th, Monday the 15th, for the training that we had talked about trying to do, with myself going over the commission rules, the position, Mr. Beller going over the legalities and things of that nature. So since we already had those days set aside, it would free up that Monday, Tuesday for the people that are going to that required training that the state is doing. So it's just kind of shifting everything down a week. Does anybody see any problems with doing that? Mayor, our calendar looks good. Mr. Beller's calendar looks good. I just wanted to try to bounce that off everybody before we did that. Anybody know why that wouldn't work? Even though somebody will be elected on August 4th and certified sometime the week after, they can be sworn in at any time. But they don't take office till September 1st. So the August business still is in our laps. And they're going to have their hands full once they get started, I guess you'd say. Plan to, at the end of our August meeting, to have a mass swearing in by one of the judges. I think Judge Smith did it last time, if I remember correctly, and kind of pass the gavel at that point. We're still looking at the September meeting and who will chair that meeting. Since I won't be back, our pro tem won't be back. The thought process so far is that I will chair the meeting, start the meeting, immediately have the election for chairman, and turn it over to them right away that night. Unless there's objection. I think that's what we've done in times past. We're going to go back and double check on that and make sure. But that seems to be our recollections of what we've done. So may even have an early meeting just to do that in September. But that's kind of what we're wanting to do. We're wanting to do the training. We're wanting to, once we know who's going to be on the commission, send out the survey so that they can look at what committees they want to be on, so that the new chairman will have that information to make those selections, hopefully by the September meeting or the end of it. So that's kind of where we're at with this now, if everybody's okay with that. If you're not, please let me know. If you have any thoughts on what we need to do on this or how we need to conduct it, please let me know. But that's kind of where we're at right now. That's all the business I have. Public comments. Do any of our publics have any comments? Seeing none. Ms. Jones. Have a motion to adjourn? Have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Mr. Ford has a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Said, thank you. Did I handle it?